And then we're seen as a triune. We have three souls or three spirits. Each soul has its own energy force or life force. Each soul has its own shadowy body. They're connected to each other by umbilical cord of the same substance as the shadowy body. The human body is simply a bowl that houses these three souls. In learning to become a good person, or in working on your Pono, what you're doing is taking these three souls, you're combining them and turning them into one. What keeps all three souls separated is what we call ego today. And ego is a part of us to help us accomplish whatever we're trying to accomplish in life. But we must be in control of the ego. If the ego is in control of us, then in our culture, you're seen as immature and a child. Your opinions are those of a child. What we call women's intuition today in our culture is Akua speaking. And women and the male or the ego is symbolized by the head and the body, whereas the intuition of the female is from the heart down to the lowest abdomen. And because Akua is both male and female, they saw each and every one of us as males and females. And because of this concept, our true Hawaiian culture is a matriarchal society where the female was considered to be the equal, if not of greater importance than the male. See, the problem becomes what keeps all three souls separated is what we call ego today. And because of this ego problem in the ancient way of thinking, it's the males that have the most difficult time in trying to unite all three souls. So they tell you not to pay attention to your senses, for your senses is all part of your ego. And your senses will lie and deceive you. That God talks to us on a daily basis, but because of the ego problem, the male tends to pretend to be Akua and not listen, whereas female pays attention to her intuition or God speaking. And this is why today, grandma rules all families, followed by mom, followed by spouse. Generally, female leads, male supports. But if the male ends up with a very small ego, then on the other side of the coin, the female will have the ego problem. And when this happens, then male leads, female supports. Okay, now the Pono. Taking all of this into consideration, whenever you experience a negative reaction, such as anger, jealousy, hatred, even fear, this is your ego trying to control you. And what you need to do is to go into yourself and pull up the memory that is causing this reaction. Now, the three souls that I speak of is very similar to psychology today. The consciousness, the Hawaiian calls uhane, which translates to mean the ability of speech, the ability to grieve. This is the weakest of the three souls, because if you separate it from the other two, it'll end up rambling off, making no sense at all. The low soul, the subconscious, the Hawaiians call unihipili. Many definitions to this. Part of the definitions is your limbs are antennas to receive the mana, the palm of the hands from the heavens, the ball of the feet from the earth. It also translates to mean the ability to grieve, the ability to blend, mix, cover, cloak. It is stubborn and childlike. And then your superior, what the Hawaiians call the Aumakua, translates to mean older, parental, utterly trustworthy. And this soul exists above us. The other two exist within the body. And in trying to unite your three souls, whenever you experience a negative reaction, you have to take your consciousness and ask that subconscious to show you the memory that's causing your reaction. We each possess memories. Some of these memories are negative memories that are stored in the unihipili. And in our concept, the unihipili allows the uhane to think it's leading. But these negative memories actually extend to the moment, to the time when you were in the womb of your mother. And whenever your mother experienced a negative reaction to anything, whatever she smelled at the moment, whatever tone of voice she heard at the time, and whatever brushed her skin, are the triggers that causes you to react in the same manner that your mother reacted in when you are in the same situation. So what you need to do is confront yourself. I can only show you the path. I cannot teach you. To Pono is very easy. But to work on the Pono takes courage, because now you have to look at yourself and confront yourself. And every time you pull up a negative memory and face it, you're actually opening up the door between you and Akua. In our culture, we each possess 3 umbilical cords. This umbilical cord that we are all familiar with is your umbilical cord to your genealogy, your ancestors. The genital areas is considered an umbilical cord to your future, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. The cradle cap is your umbilical cord to God. Now, when the children are born, they have just come from a world of love, so that cradle, that umbilical cord is still connected. As we teach them about this world of the ego, that umbilical cord closes. Should the individual choose to become more spiritual in the future, that umbilical cord will open up again, but not in the form of becoming soft. You will actually, if you remove the hair on the individual, see the division of the skull when they were born. And that umbilical cord to God has been opened up. Remove the hair from any other individual, and it'll be a nice, smooth skull. And that's an indication that brother is still working on his ego and his Pono.